are well informed. You want to make sure that you're talking to them on a regular basis. And I'm talking about you. Someday you may be in this position with multiple other family members, and you have to explain why this is a good idea and why being patient when their investment advisors are saying you should be diversified. Your portfolio shouldn't have all of this money in this family business. You should be investing other places, and you're saying your chance to create value is higher here. But oh, by the way, you may have trouble sending your kid to college next year. Okay, this is what you've got to deal with. And this is just within the family and shareholder group, right? As future leaders in a family business, you can separate these out so that you have, like your dashboard in your car, you have an individual dial to look at each one of them. But part of the reason to think about the three-circle model, part of the reason to research what's going on in each of those constituencies and where people are, is that your life can become a living hell if you don't understand where people are, what their interests are. And these are the dynamics and trends that you're going to have to manage. And you need to manage them. You may not have the kind of impact that you want every time, but you need to manage these trends in a way that is favorable for you, for the health of the family, and the health of the family business. Okay. How did the families that we've seen who've really been successful at this do it? We've seen recently and started researching 3 different types of trends that family businesses appear to take. There is a kind of average bell curve of growth and wealth creation in the business that tails off at a certain point, and it may be related to the family running out of steam or industry life cycle. More likely it's a combination of both. There are very sad situations where we see a precipitous drop-off. But the most interesting trends that we've identified are businesses that seem at their peak in the original business formula or model to reinvent themselves and periodically do it again. What do you think they're doing?
Change.
There's some innovation that happened which gives the business a new inflection altogether.
Yes.
They're recreating the cycle.
And how can that happen?
Adapting with the times.
Adapting with the times.
Technology.
What does it suggest about the dialogue and working relationship between senior and next generation?
Handing on the past to the next generation.
Well, that's part of it. We'll come to it in a second, but you're on the right track. What we see is that they recognize reality and focus on facts. You could make the argument that the Ford family should have seen that consolidation was coming in the auto industry and that Ford had limited prospects. It's having a revival, as I said. But if you look at the auto industry, you could make the argument today that Toyota, Hyundai are going to be the winners. Yes? Or you think Tata? Who do you think will be the winner?
Come on, Rajesh. Talk. You can give the mic to him.
Actually, on the case of Tata also we can say, because it has also generated the number of generations, and even still he has maintained their whole business.
Right, and one of the things that they have done is become highly diversified. But my point was they're likely to be a winner, more likely than Ford. So the other thing that they're doing, these companies that seem to have that continual bump, upward bump, is that they turn around a plateaued or declining business or operations. The goal is to arrest negative momentum and know why the business is or is not making money. They work with the next generation to find out what the value drivers are in the business. And they work hard at that. They don't make the assumption that the senior generation has been right forever, so that we don't need to challenge the assumptions that we've been making forever. They stop the money-losing activities. One of the saddest situations that I have ever seen, and it came to a head in the Family and Business program at Harvard Business School. The fourth largest family business in the U.S., which was Forest Products, Paper and Packaging, came with 9 family members, many of whom were middle-aged women who'd been faithful investors in the family for a long period of time. I was the co-facilitator of this group with a wonderful guy named Jonathan Pellegrin, who's about my age, but is a total wild man and unpredictable. So facilitating with Jonathan is like watching a train go through a station and grabbing on, because if you don't, he's going to be 1,000 miles ahead of you. Jonathan looked at a collection of 9 people, some of whom were these nice middle-aged ladies who had been getting a very steady dividend from the company, which made packaging for industrial companies to ship their products. It was based in Wisconsin, and this was now in the 2000s. Where is most paper packaging needed at this point in time in the world? In China. And they're in Wisconsin. Jonathan looked at their financial statements, turned to me in the first meeting and said, would it be unfair to ask these people if they know that they're liquidating their business? Because we had read in their financial statements, which these middle-aged women were not capable of reading, that they had borrowed money 3 years in a row from a bank to pay dividends, rather than to tell their shareholders that they were losing money and they could not afford to pay the dividends. Now, this was on the first day of a 6-day executive program, so you can imagine what the next 5 days of our lives working with this particular family was like. It was a watershed event. They came to reality. But what that showed was that they were unwilling to stop the money-losing activities. They weren't aware, they weren't fully in touch with why the businesses were losing money. They weren't funding money-making activities. And those companies who do these things quickly follow by tactical moves, such as repricing and operational effectiveness. That's what we've seen work when businesses are challenged. And it can't happen if the senior generation will not engage with the next generation, because who is often the person who warns the senior generation that this is happening?
The younger one.
The next generation. Okay? They invest in defining and creating competitive advantages and strategies for the future.